Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. Ladies and
Ain't no
gentlemen, episode
shortcut.
5.
Every yard gotta earn it. Small town kids with a big city purpose. We bring the highlights, they bring the pressure. Friday night legends getting built by the quarter. Cameras rolling out, the whole state watching. Every touchdown got the whole crowd rocking. Northern Nevada put the city on the map. Cover775 where the real ones at.
My brother Jeffrey flexing. What say you, boy?
Oh, we're back, episode 5, Cover775. We're a little hot in the streets. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna give us some flowers a little bit,
Absolutely.
but it's a good time. I mean, covering the athletes in 775, starting with football. We'll branch off to other things after the football season. I mean, the road ahead for Cover775 is off the chain, and we got the capital in the house.
We got Coach Steve Nelms in the building. I forgot where I was at.
Ain't no shortcuts. Every yard gotta earn it. Small town kids with a big city purpose. We bring the highlights, they bring the pressure. Friday night legends getting built by the quarter. Cameras rolling out, the whole state watching. Every touchdown got the whole crowd rocking. Northern Nevada put the city on the map. Cover775 where the real ones at.
Let's go. Tonight we got Coach Steve Nelms from Carson High.
Yep. Episode 5 of Cover775. And for the ones that have not seen, we are Cover775. We are covering high school football in the 775s throughout this season. Right now, we are currently in our summer season where we're getting to know these programs and these coaches.
Our coaching series, by the way.
Are getting to know these names of the players before we actually see them on field. And followed by our weekly show of Cover775, where we're going to go over the matchups, the scores, the next week's matchups, stats, 4A, 5A offensive defensive player of the week, highlights, everything in between Sundays once the season starts, which is like in 3 weeks, give or take,
3 weeks,
right?
3 weeks.
4 weeks. So it's coming up close, but
I'm excited. I'm very excited. Let's bring the coach in the room, man.
what's going on, Coach?
Coach Nelms,
So, boys, how's it going today? Happy Sunday to you guys.
Same to you, brother. Same to you. So, Coach Nelms, you're the head varsity coach of Carson High. Tell us about how you got here to Carson High. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, kind of grew up in Elko, Nevada. Spent most of my time there. Played football, ran track there. Went to the University of Jamestown, actually the same place Rob Hummel went. We just miss each other. I think when he left, I think at the end of his senior year would have been the start of my freshman year. Like we just had that gap. Then from there I went back, coached a little track and field at Spring Creek, the rival for Elko. From there I moved to Carson, I think 2016, did some coaching in Carson. Left Carson, went over to Douglas, did some coaching down there with Coach Mays, and then kind of swung back over back in Carson. So
we have a good amount of time with you tonight, Coach. So from Elko to Jamestown,
yep.
What made you pick there? Like what brought you to that?
Yeah, this area is kind of hard, as I think you guys have. I think Rob kind of touched base on it. This is kind of a hard area in the northern Nevada area. Between the Elko and the Reno, in those spots, it's kind of hard to get a look. But those schools out in the Midwest were doing a really good job out there, and it kind of came down to like Jamestown and Valley City and some of those other schools. Oh yeah,
This guy right
and
here.
There he is.
yeah.
Look at the cast on that fool. Look at the cast on that fool.
And so I had a pretty good senior year, and went over like 11 or 12 or 1,300 yards rushing, and went from there. And then went to Jamestown, and it was a good fit. It was a good school. I wasn't quite the most stellar in the classroom, and when I was younger, so it was just a good fit for me, both sports wise, and they let me do both sports, and football and track, so it was pretty cool. And I had a good bond with Coach Sean Frank. He was like the DC when I was there, and then he kind of took over as the head coach. He's the guy that kind of recruited me out of high school, and it was a good fit and good vibe. And as I kind of tell our players now, like I want to go somewhere I'm valued as a player and as a person. And then in the world we're in now, I tell kids, do you want to watch college football or do you want to play college football? And then at that point in time, I felt like that was a school that I could go out and I could play. So
Okay. So listen, Coach, did you always think that you would get into coaching, especially like when you're a little guy? Did you think you would get into coaching? And or did you think you'd go to the NFL? Like, how did you end up in that spot to get coaching? It's not an easy situation, right? As a little kid, as this fella right here, did you think you would get into coaching? As that little dude with the outfit on, huh?
I don't know if I've ever even seen that picture, man. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
What about this little kid? What about this guy here before you go into a coach? What about this guy?
That little kid thought for sure that little kid thought he was going pro, all 5'7.5" and 185 pounds. And he ended up being a full grown man. That's exactly, he thought he was gonna be playing on Sundays and Mondays. I think even out of high school, you're kind of like a big fish, small pond. You still think you got the shot, and then you get to college and like, what are you playing? I think it's 6'2".
Now this guy here, this guy looked like he was running the show. This kid here, he looked like he was running the show. Who was he? Who was that guy?
Yeah, his nickname was Buck. That's what the coach used to call me. And they used to say, you do those barrel roll type things, but I'm pretty sure I had something to do with my front teeth. At the time we're a little out there before the braces kicked in. So I was a little bit of quarterback there in Pop Warner for the Wildcats. Yeah.
Got your lineman bent over so you can see the back line.
Absolutely. I want to say shout out to the wives, man. A lot of the coaches' wives are having a ball jumping in here, helping us out, find this material, man.
That is
true. And salute to those wives. How much does your family help you through this everyday rigmarole of being a head varsity football coach for our state capital, by the way? How does family, kids, wives, how do you handle all this, man?
Well, I could not do what I do without my wife. Like when this job popped up, and I've been a head track coach and I've been assistant coach before, and she's like, this is a good opportunity. I think you should go into it. And I was like, I've been coaching for 10 years, but the amount of time that it takes I definitely didn't understand the time. It's a full-time job, and we have 3 kids. We got a 4-year-old, we have a 2-year-old, and our son's almost a year. So it's all hands on deck.
Damn, that's in the gauntlet for sure.
And I'm in the gauntlet. Yeah. I've got my 2 oldest are both daughters, and then my youngest is a son. So it's 2 daughters and a son. So yeah, I mean, it's there's days, we got practice 8, get there at 7. They got meetings, got film, they got all this other stuff, and I'm not home until currently.
How much
right
are they
now
at the field?
My kids are there fairly often. My oldest will ride her bike. My youngest kind of run around, and then Coop's kind of hit and miss. That turf gets a little hot right now in the summer, and he's not walking yet, so getting pretty close. But that he'll get pretty scorched up out there on the turf. But
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, my family's been good. My in-laws live in town, so they're helpful. I mean, it's all hands on deck. So I'm very blessed for the family that I have that let me coach and have this opportunity here. So
yeah, same with ours. I mean, we couldn't do this without our wives as well too. So it's a family thing. You guys, it's a unit. You gotta. Everyone has a role, and everyone sacrifices.
She's the rock, man. She holds this whole. She's the glue. She holds this whole thing together. So
yeah.
I think my wife doesn't like me that much. As long as I'm out here, she doesn't have to.
Oh my god!
I mean, there's times too. It's like, maybe it's good he's out of the house.
So, Coach, you coached at Douglas, and in your first year, you whooped up on Douglas, huh?
Your first year as Carson head coach.
Yeah.
What
was that like?
I don't know if I would call it a whooping. It was an overtime. 21-14. Very bittersweet moment. Colme is one of my best friends. Several of those kids I coached for multiple years. And then we switched. So I mean, obviously, we want my team and our guys to win. I'm rooting for Douglas every year except for the one time they have to play us. Right. But that moment was it's hard to express it within words. I've gone back and watched it. Watch some film, and you kind of watch it, and it's kind of one of those processes of like, I worked with Mays for a lot of years. I kind of took some steps as a coach there, and then to kind of have the opportunity to go coach, that first year, like, oh man, I got to coach this guy I've been coaching with for a long time. I sure hope we can go out there and we can get it done. And then, that kind of happens. It's like, how's that handshake go? Is he gonna be mad at me after the game? When those conversations go, kind of like the big brother type thing there. But it was an exciting moment. Our kids were ecstatic. Our school was pumped. It'd been the first time Carson won since 2022. So yeah, I was ecstatic. I was excited. Like I said, mixed feelings. Like those kids in that sideline were pretty bummed, and I have a good relationship with some of those kids and their families. So last year was kind of a weird line to walk on.
And I ask you this now because we learned how big Carson Douglas is from Coach Mays and how serious that is. And he failed to leave out that you guys play for a trophy. So I didn't know. Yeah,
it's like a wagon, man. That thing's big.
I was looking on Google, and you guys have been playing since 1923.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the 100 year would have been 2023. So yeah, last year would have been 102nd year.
Winning your first year in Carson, I would imagine you guys circle that game every year. It's just part of the history of it. But is that a weight off your shoulders, getting that off your chest, being able to beat Douglas?
Yeah, the mindset is for us is, we can't have one team be our Super Bowl for the year, right? Like, we don't want to cap out on we beat our rivals or we beat one team. Whoever's on, what we kind of preach is, our next game is our most important game at that point in time. Now, obviously, there's a little bit more emotion, there's a little bit more juice in that, but we don't want to have like that game in September this year. That cannot be the peak of our season, right? And I think most teams would have that same concept that we kind of build up. Like, it's an important game. It's a game that we want to win, but we also want to win every Friday. So it's not like, hey, okay, we went out there and we beat our rival. We're good now. Right. So it's that mindset of, hey, it's every week. And this week just has maybe a little more of a personal touch to it, but this is still our goal for that week. It's kind of a, probably a little bit of a corny saying, but every week everyone is really trying to want to know. And yep. So we don't want the moment to ever be too big, and we also don't want them to ever be too small. Like, the moment is the moment.
The level of respect that Coach Mays has for you, because we usually talk on air and then we go off and we just shoot the jive when we get off the behind the scenes, and he has a tremendous amount of respect for you. And the thing that we would like Cover775 would like our first official invite to that game. Okay, we would like to come to that game. We want to not only watch the game, but we want to try the burger and the hot dog there in Carson. Okay, at your snack shack.
Tell you what, I will get you guys a field pass. You guys will be on the field. You can split between both sidelines if you'd like, and then we'll get your guys' food covered for you. We'll make sure we get that done.
Now listen, Coach, what is the vibes for this season here? This is your second season, correct?
Yeah, going into second season.
What are your vibes for this season, and what are you depending on, and what guys are you depending on, and just are you energized from having that long last season, and are you ready to go?
Yeah, I think our kids are fired up, and they kind of had to learn this in high school and college. Is you can see it in the pros and college now. Like, just because we were good or bad last season, that is not a tell for this upcoming season. We're a whole different team. We still got some guys coming back, right? But our culture, our identity of who we are is not the same as last year. And I think every team, we still have our scheme and these things that we do, but who are we as a team? And that kind of takes some time to kind of come to the top. Like, we think we have an idea now. We had a scrimmage last week, but we haven't played any games yet, right? So like, we still kind of got to see, like, who are we when it's game time, and that's kind of the way we look at kind of the non-league games at the start of the season. Is, as I tell the kids, is we want to go out, we want to win, obviously. But if there's times that we're going to make mistakes and errors, it's that non-league time. Like, what are the things we're doing really well? What are the things that we're not doing well? We thought we were this type of team. We might have to pivot and do some of this in here. Because that non-league doesn't have an impact on playoffs or those standings. It affects the overall record. So, again, we have a basis of what we think we are now. And until we go out and show it, it's just words right now. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like we have an identity of who we think we are, but now, come August 14th, it's time to show, is that matching what we think we are? Obviously, I think we have pretty high expectations this year for ourselves and, for our team. We got our defense is returning a lot of starters from last season. I think eight of the 11 are back, and offensively, my center and both guards are both seniors this year who started last season for me. But we have a whole new set of all of the skill guys are new. And I think there's less of a learning curve this year. So last year, you got a brand new culture that sets like the foundation. You got a brand new offense. You got a brand new defense. You got brand new special teams. And that learning curve is drastic. This year, our feet are wet. The kids kind of know the basis of the foundation of our scheme on both sides of the ball. So we're able to kind of nuance slightly. So I think we're ahead of the curve of where we were last year as far as install and the basis, but we still got to, who can hit, there's always some guys who kind of come out of nowhere and like, oh man, like this kid's done a great job, and this is why you have to show up and this is why you have to play the game. Because if everything, whether it's an actual game or coaches looking at guys on paper, it's like, oh, well, this guy on paper, he's 5'6", 140, and all of a sudden he goes out there and plays like he's 6'3", 280. And that's why you got to show up and you got to do the game in there and prep that. So we're excited, but I'm not very big in the talk realm. Like, it's about, we got to show up. And as Marshawn Lynch would say, we have to be about that action, boss. And it's kind of one of those things like, hey, we can say everything we want, but until we go out there and our words are, our actions match our words, it's nothing at this point. So,
of course. How many seniors do you have?
In the range of like 18 to 24. I don't know off the top of my head right now.
That's a pretty good number, though.
Let me ask you a question, Coach. Two-part question. Number one, how big of being a first-year head coach, how big of an adjustment was that for you? And two, what advice would you give a first-time head coach in the North?
So the first year was a lot, and I learned most of this from Coach Mays, actually, when I was on staff. Mays had trusted the guys he'd hired, his staff, to do the things he hired them to do, to coach, to break down film, and to not micromanage. One of the best things I did with Mays is he had full trust in me. Hey, I'm thinking this. Hey, I need film time here. Hey, practice. I'm thinking we condense this. What are we thinking about this? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. That's I have you for a reason. I trust your input. Let's get it rocking. So I first kind of got there as a head coach. I had actually plucked a couple guys from the Douglas staff who came down with me to Carson. Because that first year, again, I think it's like at any type of job you have, like probably even starting like the podcast, you're like, oh, hey, this would be cool. This would be perfect. And all of a sudden you're like, man, this is a lot more work than I actually entailed in my mind, right? The stuff that we don't think about. And it's that same concept as a head coach. So, the learning curve, the time, you got the parents, I got stuff for the school, I got the admin, I got the school district, I got the AD, I got this meeting, I got that. And I'm like, I can't do that and manage every facet of practice and micromanage this. And I'm not a big micromanager, even in my personal life. Like the people I hang out with, there's, good people. I trust them. They should be doing the things that we say we're going to do, right? Because that is what I do within that realm. But for a first year head coach, I'd say you got to get a staff that you trust, and you got to trust your staff to help take things off your plate, man. Because if you try to do everything all the time, you're going to burn out quick. I mean, it is. And this is the
same kind of thing that I was talking with Coach Phillips at Hug High School, being his first year at a program. You have to coach for the kids that you currently have in reality in real time, but you also have to coach for 5 years from now when you're still building this program out. How do you balance that?
Yeah. So the culture of what we build has nothing to do with the Jimmys and Joes. Like, our culture is our culture. And I think the culture we established there is we want good football players, but we also want good men, right? Men outside of the football world. So that culture, right, ties into the football world. the Jimmies and Joes, you know, those can come and go. There's some years you got a lot of Jimmy Joes, and there's some years you don't. And I think culture can win you games that maybe on paper you shouldn't win. We don't harp on we have to win this game. You know, I like when we culture and we talk about that, when the winning is, I just tell the kids, when the fourth quarter starts, do we have an opportunity to win that game? Right. And that can mean we're up by a touchdown, we're tired, we're down by 2 touchdowns. What does that mean for our team this year? But when that fourth quarter starts, do we have a shot to win that ball game? That's all I ask for. Right.
Did you take some of the Carson tradition and keep it?
What's that?
Did you keep some of the Carson tradition that was like already in place for the school?
Yeah, I mean, within a realm, right? But I think there's a lot of programs that have things that it's just called a different word, or you know, it's
right.
But I mean, I think a good quality coaching, whether it's high school or college, we're saying the same thing. We're just not saying the same words. I think if you were to watch some of those programs, you know, there's a thousand ways we can skin a cat. So yeah, you know, we want like the toughness and we want the grit. And Carson, you know, they were known with Coach Blair Roman, like a modified wing tee. They were a power team. You know, we run a lot of power here, so kind of bringing, you know, some of that hard nose. You know, we like, it's not a secret. You know, my back of my shirt says RPO. For us, which stands for run power often. That's our little spin on the RPO. Right. So we have to have some grit, you know, we want to play with some violence and then what that looks like for us. And, you know, but then, you know, like the culture is like, I tell the kids, like we want to be mean and violent on that football field. And we want to be good quality men outside the football field. So it's kind of like, we got to flip the switch. We got to have that type of mindset. And, you know, that's something that's sometimes learned. There's not a lot of kids, you know, that have that, you know, they can just go flip the switch. Like you got to practice with the purpose. You got to do things with the purpose. And we're really big on the details of everything we do. Like your knee pads better be in your pants. Your knees can't be, you can't be earring in. Like, I mean, we're checking everything every day. So if I can't trust you and I have like a necklace on, how am I supposed to trust you to read? You know, we got a double A gap pressure and we got to check a play the other way. And now I have to have you make this call, but I can't trust you not have like a necklace on. You know, so like some of those are some of the things we talk about within the trust and then within our culture. So,
I notice a lot of these kids don't wear pads. Do you make sure your kids all wear pads?
Yep.
Because a lot of kids don't wear pads.
It's a must. I mean, it's a rule by the NIAA, and then, you know, at college they're able to, you know, have their pants rolled up to like the mid thigh and knees are showing. But, you know, those are the rules at the point in time. And, you know, when we start a game, the referees check, and you know, whether we like it or not is not the point. The point is it's a rule. We're going to do the things that we should be doing, and that's one of them. So the same thing goes to practice. Like if we're hitting, it's a full live day. I check it. You know, if a kid doesn't have his knee pads in or his knees are showing, he has an excuse practice. He gets sent home. So
whoa. Now,
I mean,
go ahead. Would you have something else to say?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. From the time you wake up on game day, before you even get out to bed, what does that look like for that rest of that day as a coach? I'm interested. So from the time you pop up and you realize you're awake on a game day, what does that process look like for the rest of the day?
Yeah, it's kind of much like I was as a player. Very quiet. You know, I get the nerves. I mean, I always tell the kids, like, hey, if you're nervous, it shows that you care. Like it shows that, you know, you're trying to go out there and do a good job. I mean, so I kind of give it in the morning, usually a little bit early. I'm still a little tired because I probably didn't sleep great at night. Like I'm kind of anxious, kind of ready to go. If this, then that, you know, kind of problem solving. I try to spend a little time with the kids in the morning if they're awake. And then, you know, I kind of zip over to high school. I do some at the high school, and then I zip over to my work because I actually don't work at the high school. So then I go there, do my lunch. Kids get there about 4. I get off work about 2 o'clock. I try to go pick up something to eat because I probably haven't eaten all day at all. To just have a little bit of water and watch a lot of game film and prep, and then sit in the coach's office, quiet all by myself. No one's there. Kind of jot down some notes. I relook at the play call sheet, go back and watch a little bit of film, see if there's anything that we kind of got to go. I'll putz around the field, make sure the trash is picked up. Everything's kind of looking good on the sideline. And then players start to kind of swing in. I go out there, talk to all of them about how their day was, how are they feeling, they excited, is there stuff in their bag, is there anything I can do for them, how are they feeling? Then I kind of try to, some of those kids who seem tense, like every single kid's got their own pregame thing that they do. Some kids are real hyped, you're trying to mellow that kid out. Some kids get real tense, you're trying to loosen that kid up. So, just based on our kids' needs, and players, you kind of just vibe with what they're doing and feeling and make sure everyone's feeling good and confident. And then we get out to the pregame and we go. And same thing as I kind of did. Actually, it's probably worse as a coach. As a player, felt real sick all day. And then the second you get hit by someone else, then I was juiced up and ready to go. Like totally, I was nervous all day for that. Like, I'm here now. Let's get it done. The coaching thing, it kind of takes a little bit longer. And but once we start the kickoff and the game's going, I start to feel pretty good. And I get all like real high, and then after the game, it's like takes a little bit to come down. So after the game, we have like the coaches meeting, then I upload the film. And then as I upload the film, I watch all the film, and then I'll do all the running back alignment notes that evening. So as soon as the game's done, I break down all that film, send it out that evening, like it's usually about midnight, 1 a.m. Then when that's done, I typically, with Huddle on my laptop, on my lap and my recliner, I watch Huddle, and then I also watch the game on the streaming service, and I'll rewatch it again from both sides. I go to bed about 2:30, and I get up about 7, and I break down film with the kids at 8. That's my Friday.
Damn.
Jesus.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to the meat and potatoes a little bit. Put your feet to the fire just a little bit.
Okay.
4-1 in league last year, but it ended in, I believe, in a 3rd place.
Not bad.
Correct.
Not bad.
Yep.
I think that's so. How much? I know that you guys are focused from week to week. I get that, and that's honestly the answer we get from every coach. So, and it's the right answer, of course.
This answer he has to take.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right answer.
He's a competitor, so I'm sure he has a whole nother word. I want to crush.
I know how big those Reno games were last year. The overtime win at home, and then 2 weeks later, they getting you in the playoffs. What is your goal this season for your team to repeat, to win? What's the goal?
Well, our teams have talked, and it's one of those things we want to word it in the right manner, right? Because we have a good relationship with all these coaches in the North, whether the 4A or the 5A, and I think they all do a good job. And I think every team would say the same thing. I think we should be competing for a regional championship. And the chips fall where they may, and let that go, or even state. And I think every coach is going to say the same thing. I think that, if your goal isn't every day to show up and try to go win something, like I said, let's say, hey, we just got to beat our rival in week 4 and our season's good, then what are we doing?
And that could just be winning practice. That could just be winning in the classroom. That could be a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
So, that is the long-term goal. And, there's a lot of things that have to play out through the season for every team to have those things happen. And, you have some teams have injuries, some don't. You have good calls in games, you have bad calls. There's a lot that can happen this season. We just try to keep our focus. The focus is always on us. Like, what is it we do well? What is it we don't do well? We don't worry about, what's this other team's record? Oh, this team's got these 6 guys who are really good. Like, we just focus on us, right? And what do we have to improve on? And I think because we want to block out a lot of the outside noise. Like, so the more we focus on us, then we're focused on us. Our conversation's about us. It's not like, well, look at them do that. And well, it isn't about them. It's about us. So we really try to hone in on just keeping everything about us as often as we can.
Great plan. Let's break down that schedule for this year.
So you guys start at home versus Dayton. You got a home game against Spanish Springs. I know on Max Preps, the Carson.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Max Preps. Yeah. Okay. Well, the schedule's going to be a little off for you. So let me, I'll get you the actual schedule. Now it's Max Preps. Let's see. So we got week 1 at home versus Dayton. week 2 was supposed to be a home game on the 21st. We're actually going to play at UNR Saturday night at 7:00 against Spanish Springs.
Oh, yeah. So before you go forward, what do you think about that, man? How exciting is that for you and your boys to know that that's going to be a situation, man, to play at Mackey?
Yeah, I mean it's an awesome place. You know, I played there in high school. We used to have the All-Star game. It was played there for the state, so I played there one time. Super cool. I know the kids will be juiced up. You know, we're playing a really good Spanish Springs team. You know, Rob has done an excellent job with that program, so it's a really good early test for us to see who we are as a team, right? So. And then just the fact that it's not like Saturday afternoon, like we're playing Saturday night at UNR, under the lights, and the kids are pretty stoked for that game. So again, that's where we don't ever want the highs too high or the lows too low. So we got to find some balance there, right, to make sure that we're not letting that moment get too big, and then it kind of takes away from the game. But it
sucks to lose a home game, but at the same time, being able to play at Mackey's.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it does suck. You know, our fans do a super good job and stuff. But I mean, last year, you know, we played a game down in Vegas, and then the night prior to our game, like the Raiders opened up their practice field for us. They fed us. We were at the indoor practice field. We were the Raiders game of the week 2. You know, we won. We got a championship belt and a banner and all this kind of stuff. So this next year, the fact that UNR reached out and so our kids get another once in a lifetime opportunity for some of these kids to go play at a D1 college stadium on the lights on a Friday night. So, I mean, the fact we lose a home game is one thing, but, you know, football should offer a lifetime experience to every kid. So that's not something we want to pull away from our kids. So that's something that we,
definitely,
you know, our football program and our school was happy to make happen, to make sure that we're giving, you know, these kids a once in a lifetime opportunity.
So it looks like you guys start off the season, I mean, outside of the Mackey game, 4 straight home games.
Yeah, I got Dayton at home, Spanish Springs at UNR, DeMonte Ranch at home. We go by Douglas at home on 9/11.
Douglas at home at 9/11. Okay, and then finish off with Reed, North Valley's Hug, Galena, Reno, Wooster.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Is UNR a home game for you guys too?
Yeah.
That's a home game for them. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We would be the home team for that game. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. What uniforms you guys wearing? You guys got
I always let the kids pick. You know, the kids last year, they loved the white. You know, they liked it was pretty crisp. It was all white with like the Columbia blue. Yeah. The trim with some of the blue on it. So I always let the kids pick, you know. Sometimes, you know, like when we're on the road last year in Vegas, I assume Vegas is going to make us wear our darks because it was like 120 degrees at kickoff, but they had us in white. So, you know, sometimes you play some of the weather and stuff like that. You know, if it's going to be snowing, you know, do we want to be in our whites? Obviously, it won't be snowing in August, but we can let the kids pick. You know, they get the choice to pick what they want that week and make sure it works with the other team. But I assume we'll probably be the blue on blue with the white helmet and then the new C on the side for us. So,
do you feel any added pressure coaching for the state capital, like the high school in our state capital?
Great question.
No, I think honestly, I don't think it mattered what school I was coaching at. I just think the pressure of, you know, first and foremost, like, you know, I want my kids to know I'm doing everything I can to make sure that, you know, myself and our staff are setting them up to be in a spot that we can win, you know, and then secondly is, you know, we want the parents and, you know, everyone in Carson know that we're doing our best, right? So there's a lot of times, you know, if you're not winning right off the bat or you have this, it looks like we're not. And so I think whether you're coaching at Carson or at Douglas or Reno or something like that, like there's always this, you know, this like sense of, you know, you don't want to fail anybody ever. And, you know, the football's big. It's a one-town high school. So you're never going to appease everybody that, you know, happens, even if you win a game, etc. But, you know, first and foremost, we just have to do right by our kids. You know, as long as that trust in that locker room is sound and solid, that's something I can live with every day. But yeah, I mean, I think anytime you're in a one town high school, I think there's always a little bit of added pressure there.
Of course. And Carson, from what it was when I was growing up, and I'm sure when you were growing up, to where it is now, population-wise, growth is just unreal down there. It's going insane. So I'm sure that the talent pool,
54,000 now.
yeah, 58, 60 probably. You know, it's hard with those numbers, but from where when I was younger in high school to where it is now, it's probably double, tripled in size in terms of just population and whatnot. And I would imagine that the future for Carson is really bright because of the large talent pool that is now coming. Like the same thing we talked to Rob Hummel about. Spanish Springs was little back in the day. Now there's way more kids out there.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be helpful for a program. Do you have kids that are in the middle of you and Douglas that kind of pick or kind of don't really know which way they want to go?
No, there is a fine line. You know, it's like I live right on the cusp of being in Douglas County, so I'm on like the south end of Carson. No, so basically, whatever side that you're on there is the side that you have to go to school on.
Okay.
Obviously, you kind of have like the NIAA, and then if you move, then you have the variance. You got to sit out like a sub varsity year. So it's not very easy for us here to like flip flop schools or do anything like that. There's a now something just passed on the 23rd, so you know I don't know if there's like a one-time transfer thing, but we haven't had that yet. And obviously, you know, I know Mays would never try to pluck any of my kids, and I've never tried plucking his. Yeah, you know, so we have that. You know, we've got that common bond and relationship there, and you know, as I mentioned earlier, like you know, I know those guys root up for us for every single game of the year, and then we root for them except for the one time we meet. Right, that's the one time. You know, we want to make sure that you know we're up on top. So
I think that's what makes that game so big to me. Is that those two guys are good friends. He coached over there, now he's over here. That is a whole storyline in itself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the trophy and the 100+ years.
Yeah. Like
and the state capitol, and it's on 9/11. I mean,
listen,
what else can you
get? If we
get?
coaching against each other, I definitely would get all in your face.
Oh, yeah, we would be playing.
Your face.
Game day would be pretty dirty. After that, it'd be hugs. You know,
Yes, of course. We would definitely be rude. Very rude to each
we
other.
wouldn't have to talk on Fridays. So that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, I'll call you. Yeah.
Just like in golf. I'm going to whoop you.
You get one of those. Don't try to go on our channel and really take that from me.
Coach, what NFL coach do people say you look like? Don't listen to him.
I don't see it much, but I do get Sean McVay.
Yes.
That's who. That's
you remind me of him. The voice.
What's kind of funny too is McVay's big on like the 12, 13 personnel, which is a lot of tight ends and you know, so
you know, and you know, but a little weird because I'm a Seahawk fan. Obviously, you saw me when I thought I was playing for the Seahawks in the kitchen right there, and Hawthorne at the time is probably that picture was taken. So now I've gotten I think I'm the not quite as good looking Sean McVay. So, but that's been the look. So.
Shout out some of the studs, man.
What are some players you're excited about this year?
Because we have our own. We're bringing all these kids into Reno for our Cover 775, all Cover 775 team. Shout out your studs, man.
I mean, honestly, I love all of our kids in every facet, right? They all have a different role, but I mean, I guess it's more of a stud you'd see on the field with an opportunity to maybe go play at that next level. We got Nico Alvarado is playing like Mike and Sam inside backer for us. He was a first team guy. He was about 95 tackles last year. Had a big pick in the Douglas game for us. Matthew Manley, a little bit undersized safety. He's like a state champion wrestler for me though. Flies around. He's about 5'6", 160 right now, but he plays much bigger than his weight shows on paper. We have Elijah Larry, he's playing some DN for us. Last year, he also played a couple of games with the quarterback. He's played a little bit of the tight end spot, but he's good. He punts for us. Both of our kickers are returning this year. What's that?
Mm-hmm. He's a utility guy.
Yeah, he can. He can do a little bit all of it. So he's good there. We got Dylan Loft starting at quarterback for us right now at this point in time. Pulled him up last year as a sophomore. Didn't play a ton for us, but he's come a long way. So we should be able to throw a lot more this season. He's about 6'4", 6'5". He throws a good ball. One of my running backs last year was a junior. He ended up breaking his collarbone in practice. Didn't see a lot of playing time last year, but looks pretty good at running back right now. Eli Gonzalez, kind of like a little scat back, pretty short, but strong, physical, shifty. And then we got Canyon France. He plays right guard for us, right or left guard. He's 6 foot, 285, pulls pretty well. So, but we got some talent kind of all over the field there. And again, we just got to click as one team right now. And I think we're really starting to see that happen the last couple of weeks. We're starting to, look like 11 guys with one job, like with one mission, and not each guy doing their own thing. And everything's in sync and the timing is good, and that's all starting to kind of jive. So
that's a great answer. What would you say your deepest or strongest position group is right now?
But like I said at the start, defense has been last year we were pretty solid, I think, on the defense side of the ball. And eight of the 11 starters from last year are back. But this isn't Madden, right? Like, you can't shut off all the injuries and do all this kind of thing. Yeah. And it's important other kids are, earning the right to be on the field as well. So, it's getting the vibe of, we do a lot of practice. I'll be like, Nico left his cleats at home and Manly's got a flat tire, whatever, right? So, So we kind of funnel in pods of groups of kids is if this happened, does everything fall apart, or, are we right on pace or right underneath pace? What does that look like if our perfect fit is no longer perfect for us? How do we problem solve that so we don't drastically fall off? And that's something, some of the starters and stuff, they do a really good job now. But last year, it's like, why am I not getting playing time in practice? I'm like, well, Lord forbid something happens to you. Are we prepped and ready for that next guy to step up? And then if he steps up, what are we able to do or not do in there? And then how do we coach that better? So we try to spend a lot of time of getting guys that aren't always the one group to funnel in there and see how do we jive as a team together? What are we doing together? Who's leading? So it kind of looks kind of chaotic from the outside looking in, I think, but it's all kind of structured about how we want guys where and what's the purpose of this.
And I'm sure a lot of the programs in the city, I know that Spanish Springs is rebuilding a little bit, not rebuilding, but they got a lot of new guys. So I'm sure it's pretty frequent across 775 to be in this situation where you guys are at, trying to just figure each other out, especially not being in pads yet. It's hard to say, like you said. When do you get to go in pads? When your guys' first scrimmage?
So we actually we just finished up pads. So anytime in this month we're currently in, you can have camps.
Have you scrimmaged another team or anything yet?
We did, yeah. We had a scrimmage last Friday against Worcester.
Okay, because I know that a lot of teams have been doing the sevens, right. And then I had talked to sevens. The same night that the sevens was going on was, I think, Galena, Reno, and another team were scrimmaging. So I was kind of interested in, I was kind of interested that why some teams might still be playing sevens and not playing sevens versus now scrimmaging. Yep. But okay, if you've got a scrimmage, in who'd you guys scrimmage?
Worcester.
Okay.
Worcester, yep.
Sweet. And your first game is against Dayton, and that is the 14th, you said?
August 14th, yeah. So most of the teams that don't have a game that week will also have like their first scrimmage as well.
Gotcha.
We kind of started a little bit earlier. So
who links those? Who links those scrimmages? Do you guys just call each other and be like, yo, you trying to get down? Or
yeah, it's just kind of like, hey, we got camp, do you guys want to come see our guys? What about this? And sometimes you try to play guys you don't play in league and stuff like that. Like, you're trying to, we don't want to have like us and Reno and Galena and North Valleys all have a scrimmage and we're all going to see each other in league at some point, and then possibly in playoffs again. Right. So, we try to get guys that you're not seeing in the season. So like my freshman will go to a scrimmage on the 14th because Dave's on a freshman team, but then my other guys will play games. So yeah, we just kind of call, set it up. Hey, what's the vibe here? Are we looking? You guys want to get a scrimmage in?
Hey, Coach, before we get out here, you want to shout out anybody, your family, your principal,
admin, all that,
city, admin, all that. Give us a shout out before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess first and foremost, my wife and and just letting her, she's got the kids. They're all doing something in the back of the house right now, getting some stuff scored away. We got our family pictures in a couple hours here today. So just sort of kind of working with my schedule through and through here. My staff, like I said, I trust my staff. They're redoing our practice script now because season starts on Monday. Like it actually starts on Monday. So we're back to helmets and, they're prepping. We're breaking down film now today and instruction, the classroom time, the setting and this and that. And then obviously our players and our parents, we couldn't do the things we do at the time we asked them to practice this and that. And then, they're helping us out here. And honestly, a big shout out to Coach Mays, I worked Mays for many years and I wasn't sure if I was going to take this job because I'm a very loyal guy. And I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, but if this is going to rub you the wrong way, right? Like you've been very loyal to me. So I want to ensure I'm not going to ruin a friendship, by having this opportunity. And he was like, absolutely, you should take it. My AD, Thomas Reimer, has been really, really helpful from that first year, kind of coming in. There's some things we need. And, the school district helping us with the UNR game and stuff like that. And, I talked to Rob Hummel a lot as well. I call him and kind of chat about just life advice, this advice, what we got going here and what are we thinking about this and how are we structuring summer, right? Because, every year we kind of got to grow and kind of get some of these new things in there. And it's important, like, hey, I feel like I'm getting a little stuck here in the mud. Like, what are we thinking of the ways we can change it up? My kids might be getting burnt out. So, just kind of having those processes kind of go through and through. And, I'm sure there's more that I could be on here for the next 47 minutes and 51 seconds. And I could still be going, thanking more and more people. But,
Of course.
And I guess lastly, like all the players, the time that they got to put in and the trust that I have to have in myself and our staff to, kind of buy into our system and trust that process. Cause, in the day and age we have, with not just our kids, but kids just in the, back in the day, you play a game of Madden, you couldn't just reset it and restart it. Like you had to eat that loss. Right. There was no reset, you can order a package that's on your step in 2 hours. Right. So to be bought into something that takes time and that time is going to show you that it's worth it. And having those kids trust that process means it means a whole lot to me.
Awesome. Well, good luck to Senators this year. I hope you guys have a great season. I hope you guys have a healthy season. Coach, thank you for your time with us today on Cover 775.
Yes, sir.
We're almost to the season now.
Yeah.
And it's going to get going. The kids are going to get cracking.
I cannot wait to go to this game. This
Carson
Douglas game. We're going to be in there real full, man. We want to thank Coach Nelms, man. Beautiful podcast.
Ain't no shortcuts. Every yard gotta earn it. Small town kids with a big city purpose. We bring the highlights, they bring the pressure. Friday night legends getting built by the quarter. Cameras rolling out, the whole state watching. Every touchdown got the whole crowd rocking. Northern Nevada put the city on the map. Cover 775 where the real ones at.
I tried to act like I whooped you in golf all the time.